In this video, I will show you how to create sermon slides, first from scratch and second using templates. I didn't really plan out this video too much, so I apologize if it's a bit rambling, but here we go. So first thing is click Create New Presentation, give it a name. Category Presentation, the size should be 1920 by 1200. That's usually all the same. And just start with the blank slide. So select blank, template 1, which is just blank. Hit new. So it'll create a new sermon title and then just a blank slide. So the first thing I do is just hit this like 20 times, create a bunch of blank ones. Okay, so then you would go into your editor, and of course this selecting the background photo is, or the background design is, I think, the most challenging part. It helps to know what the pastor is talking about and just try to match something, pick something that matches the theme. But I'll just see what examples I could have. Now, creating slides using ProPresenter is all about layers. So usually I'll put a bottom photo and I'll layer something else over it, like something to make the background like a little bit more blurry so that the words stand out more. Then I would add like text or like certain shapes. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So first thing first, these are the toolbars, the options up here. This is to add a text. This is to add a rectangular shape. This is to draw a shape. This is to add an image, add a photo, or add a video. These are the ones I don't really use. And for this example, you don't have to use hash marks. You can ignore that. Okay. So let's just bring in a photo. I'll just pick something that I've done before here. Let's see. Okay, see, I should have planned this out, but okay. Anyway, would you just pick something if I could? I'm going to look in a different folder. Okay, so I'll just use this one I used for Elijah. So once you bring the photo in, I drag it to fill the whole space. Oops. Yeah, I don't want to see any black lines here, so I gotta make it even bigger. Okay, so this is the one I used for Elijah. Now this is just a background photo, so I don't want this so bright, because if you add words to this, it's still too distracting. So I need to put something, another layer on top of this. So for that one, I had some kind of like a flame kind of design. So I'll just add another image. You could add another picture on top of it, or you can just put like something white or something dark over it. I'll show you what I mean. So for the Elijah slides, see if I can find it. Okay, so I found like this picture. This is from Church Motion Graphics website. That's one of the websites that I recommend. Let me just show you that real quick. If I go back to the internet, churchmotiongraphics.com. So they have a whole lot of free still background images. So we'll just go to this. So this is a great resource for getting, like, you know, background slides or stuff that you can layer over. You can hit this random button so you can see more different kinds of stuff. Okay, it could be something very simple like that, or even that could be a nice background and you put something else over it. Anyway, so that's where I download a lot of these kind of things. Let's see, also templates, sorry, layers. If you go to layers, no. Oh. Sorry, not that. Fonts. Oh yeah, layer graphics. So you have to go back to the layers. Go back to free stuff. Scroll down to the bottom. Free pro layers. For some reason it's not working right now, but anyway, that's where you get all those kind of brackets and quotes and stuff that you can add on top. Okay, back to this. So I had put another photo on top of this, so I'm going to drag it to fill the screen. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so obviously this is covering the background. So the way to allow some of the background to peek through is to change the opacity. So right here. So you just have to use your eye. I just decided to go with, let's say, something like that. So you have this kind of interesting design where you have this slide and you get a little hint of Elijah. So that might be all you need to do. Now if you didn't want to use this busy red background, you don't have to. So if I just again delete it. Oh, let me just show you something. Over here, this let me show you these buttons. So if you click this button, this is the layers button. So that tells you that you have two layers right now. The bottom image, which is Elijah, and then the top image, which is the one, this red square thingy. So every time you add a new picture or new layer, new text layer, it just keeps adding stuff on top. Okay, so for example, like if I reverse this, if I put the bottom image back on top. Okay, so now that photo of Elijah's back on top and the one below it is hidden. Okay, because this is not peeking through at all. So let me put it back on the bottom. Okay, so there's that. This is to have some words, bullet points that fly in. And this tells you what the size of the image is. The opacity is what I was adjusting. 0%. Oh, actually, because I moved it around, it kind of messed it up already. Okay, never mind. But anyway, this would be where you adjust the opacity, this button right here. This here is for any fonts. Okay. Okay. So I have two layers. If I like this layer, I could use this. Now, I was trying to tell you that if you didn't want to use this particular thing, I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so now you're back to just the one Elijah. And again, that's by clicking the screen here, so you can see there's one. So another way to do this is just insert a shape. I'm going to drag it. Okay, and then again over here, I'm going to decrease the opacity. Okay, so that kind of grays it out. Of course, the white is probably not the best one. So instead of using white, I'm going to change the fill color. So you see the fill color here. Click on it. It's going to bring up this color box. Okay, you can use crayons, which is what I like, or you have these other options. Okay, but just use crayons. So let's just say I want the image a little bit darker. So maybe I'll pick like a kind of a darker gray. or maybe this one, who knows. Okay, just try that one. And then decrease the opacity so some of that background peers through. So now if you add text on here, it's pretty easy to read. So let's just say I want to add some scripture. So I have to insert a text box. Okay, it always defaults to this kind of weird thing, so this is hard to see a small font, but I'll just type something, you know. John 3:16. God so loved the world, etc. Okay, I'm going to select the whole thing, and I'm going to change the font because the font that we typically use, or I typically recommend using, is it's the one that's CMG Sans. You can find it here, CMG Sans. Again, that's from Church Motion Graphics. And I'm going to make it bigger. So to make it bigger, you can click here, or you can enter a number. That's probably too big. Let's go like with 80. Okay. So God so loved the world, blah blah blah, and so that could be your verse. Now for this, you can make it bold and underline. And then, you know, verse 2, line 2, line 3, line 4. I forgot to mention if it was NIV. Oops, I don't want any more underline there. So NIV. Okay, so that's how you would do that. So. And you can move it so that center. You see how the yellow centering lines show up for you? And boom. Okay, that's totally centered. Okay, and then click off the screen. You can always test how it looks by hitting this button called Show. See that? So you can see what it looks like. Or if you want to make it bigger, hit the output button. But again, depending on the size of your computer screen, you may not be able to see the whole thing. So look over here. So that's your sermon slide. So then if you like the result, you can save it as a template. So you could right mouse click or hit the template here, but right mouse click. Oops, no, right mouse click here. Template, okay? Just mouse over it. You can create a new I guess these are styles, but you can use sermon template or you can add a new one, new template group, and you can add the slide to the template group so that the next time you want to use the exact same thing, it's there. See, you could just, instead of redoing all the layers, you could do this. Okay. Now again, now that we're talking about templates, a lot of the templates are saved under sermon templates. Now again, yours might look different depending on what's saved on your computer, but there are lots of other ones that I've done before, so you can feel free to go back and use any of these. So how would you reuse one of these templates? So let's say I wanted to use this. Okay, now let's just pick a different one. Start over. Let me go back. Okay, just do it over new slide. Template, sermon template. Let's say I want like to use this. Okay, so this would be like for a main point. So if I double click on it, the top layer I already know is the text. So sermon point 1. Okay. Now again, if the sermon topic is not about David, how do I get rid of this background photo? So remember, go back to this button here, that's the layers button, and this very last picture should be David. So if I delete this, it's gone. Okay, so then I can add a new photo. So again, you click a photo, add photo, and I don't know where that Elijah one went, but to just say I'll pick this. Okay, so again, stretch it to fill the entire screen. Okay, that's filled. I think that's it. Okay, that's filled the entire screen. So again, your photo is on top, but it's hiding the text and the little bar. So bring this down to the bottom. Voila, there's your text on top, and then the shape. So the shape is just this rectangular. If I, you could add it by hitting this, but it's just a rectangular thing that I put in here and decrease the opacity. So if I look at the attributes, oh no, here's the shape. Yeah, so it's at 82% opacity. So if I mess around with that, you see that? And then I change the fill color. So if you change a different fill color, it could be like that. Okay. Now about the text, there's some other cool things too. So when you type in the text here, you can make it jump out a little bit more by giving it a shadow. So right now there's already a shadow checked on. Now when you're in this menu, you won't see any difference. But as soon as you click out of it, you see how there's no shadow. It doesn't look bad, but there's no shadow. But if you wanted to add a shadow, you would select this, hit shadow. Okay, so I think the default is this. Okay, so you don't even have to touch anything. Just hit just check the shadow button, and then to see it, X out of it. So now you could see there's a shadow, and it makes it jump out even more. So that's how you would do that. Add a little shadow. Other things you can play with, if we go back to the shapes. So go back to here, shape element, and we could change the attributes. So again, you can rotate it using the angle. Okay, so that's just, I don't know, you may not need to do that, but I'm just saying that's how you would do it if you want to make a design. So you can change the angle. There's even a way to make a circle out of this. There's online videos on how to do that, but most of the time I just use rectangle. If you wanted to, you can even add lines in this box. Create a add a line if you want it. Let's make it white. Let's make it like bigger just so you could see it. So again, see how you can do that. Again, you can go fancy. This is how you would do that. So again, just to review, template, sermon template, and let's just say this. Okay, so some of these I've already made, and again, to change the photo, find the very bottom image, delete it, add a new picture, make it fill the screen, and then bring it to the bottom below all these other things. Okay. Sometimes it does that. Sermon to blah blah text. Okay, so anyway, this one for some reason is yellow, so you could change the color here, make it white. Oh, sorry, if you select it again, and then sometimes so it should help you center the text already if you select center, and this thing adjust to fit has to do with the box. So sometimes because this point comes up if the default, because the default box is usually bigger. It's usually like that or something like that. So sometimes it could be a little cumbersome. So that's what this adjust to fit is. They just create a box for you of the size. Oh, look at this. I haven't even done this before. Okay, anyway, something to explore later. So that's kind of how you would do that. Feel free to take from scripture slides. These are pre-made scripture slides. Oh, okay, so using Bible Gateway. So go back to Safari. So you use Bible Gateway, whichever online software program. So Pastor Gary likes to use NASB. That's fine. I usually just try to keep it the same, so whatever he's reading is the same as what we display. But sometimes if the announcer or the MC is reading NIV, I'll put the NIV. Okay, so when we use Bible Gateway, there's a couple of things. First, let's see. Oh, okay, this one already doesn't have the verse numbers, but this is the default where it shows verse numbers and these things. So I don't need to copy that. I uncheck these boxes. I could select this paragraph, Control C to copy. Come over here. So here I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to do paste and match style, because if you just hit paste, it's going to get this tiny text. You don't want that. So you want to hit paste and match style. So it's the predetermined style. Now, don't worry that this doesn't fill the screen. I mean, this is kind of funny, but as soon as you click outside of this text box, it's going to center it for you. See that? Okay. So even this is a little bit kind of big, so I might want to make the font smaller. Let's just say 60. Okay. And then don't forget to say what it's from. So I want bold and underline John 3:1-3. NASB. Okay, that's that. All right, I hope you found this helpful, and I'm sure you'll do a good job. It usually takes me about 3 hours on average to do this. But again, depending on how busy you are, you may do very little. You may just create a sermon title slide. It's totally up to you. Okay, and don't be afraid to email me or email me for questions, or even reach out to people that are good at graphic design, like Polly and Jack Ratanapratam, if you need some ideas. Okay, thank you for watching this video.